The bell above the diner door barely finished ringing when the waitress leaned close to the biker's shoulder, her voice reduced to breath and fear, her eyes refusing to meet his. She told him not to look, told him to finish his coffee and leave, told him nothing else. But the tremor in her hands betrayed a truth she could not say out loud, and when the biker followed the direction of her gaze anyway, he saw something that made the room tilt, something that should not exist in a place that smelled of grease and pie. In the corner booth, half hidden by shadow and silence, a woman sat too still, her wrists bound together with cheap white zip ties beneath the table. And that was the moment when everything began to change. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and ordinary people choosing courage when it matters most, please like this video, share it, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel, Only Kindness. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that need them. The biker's name was Calder Knox, and he had learned long ago that some instincts are louder than reason. He had ridden into town to escape noise, not to create it, and the diner had felt safe in that way only forgotten places do. He was big in the quiet way, scarred knuckles, road-worn jacket, eyes that had seen too much and judged too little. When he noticed the woman's hands, he didn't flinch or stare. He let the weight of the moment settle, understanding that panic was the enemy. Across the counter, the waitress, Maribel Santos, moved like she was walking through deep water, every step careful, every glance measured. She had tried to warn him because she could not save that woman alone. The woman in the booth was named Alara Wynn. She wore a thrift store coat that swallowed her frame, and her face held the pale focus of someone counting seconds. Whoever sat beside her had stepped away, leaving behind a coffee cooling into bitterness and a threat hanging in the air. Calder felt it, the invisible pressure that told him this wasn't a misunderstanding or a prank. This was control. This was fear disguised as normalcy. Outside, a pickup truck idled too long. Inside, a man at the counter laughed too loudly. Time stretched thin, like a wire ready to snap. Calder remembered the rules of survival he'd learned on the road. Don't escalate unless you can finish. Don't be the hero unless you're ready to pay. He finished his coffee slowly, letting Maribel refill it with shaking hands, letting the room believe he was just another tired rider. Under the table, he nudged his boot against Alara's, a small signal that she wasn't invisible. Her breath caught, then steadied. Calder watched reflections in the window, memorized exits, calculated the distance to the kitchen door. He saw the man return, the way ownership sat on his shoulders, the way his smile never reached his eyes. What followed was not a brawl or a shout. It was something quieter and braver. Calder stood to pay, blocking the line of sight for a heartbeat while Maribel spilled water on purpose, a clumsy accident that drew attention away. In that narrow opening, Calder slid his pocket knife along the zip ties, careful, controlled, freeing Alara's hands without spectacle. The man noticed a second too late. Alara slipped behind the counter, vanishing into the back, and Calder met the man's stare with a calm that promised consequences without threatening them. The confrontation that came was brief and unglamorous. Authority arrived because someone called, because courage is contagious when one person starts it. The pickup peeled away, leaving tire marks and unanswered questions. Alara emerged with red wrists and a spine that refused to bend. Maribel cried only after the danger passed, her strength finally allowed to rest. Calder stayed until statements were taken, until the diner exhaled and found its rhythm again. He didn't give a speech or take credit. He wiped his hands, paid his bill, and nodded to Maribel like they shared a secret that would never need words. In the days that followed, the town learned what kindness looks like when it wears a leather jacket and says very little. Alara found shelter and help, her story unfolding with patience and support. Maribel kept working, her smile returning slowly, backed by a community that learned to watch more closely. Calder rode on, carrying the weight of another life intersected and altered, knowing that sometimes the road leads you exactly where you're needed. If this story reached you, if it reminded you that bravery doesn't always roar, please take a moment to like and share this video. Subscribing to Only Kindness helps us tell more stories where empathy wins and people choose to act. Before the ending, we ask you something from the heart. Please comment below with one word that describes how this story made you feel. Your words matter more than you know.